Welcome to this deep dive, crafted specifically for you, career coaches. Today, we're plunging into the fast-moving currents of the world of work.
That's right. It's a world being, well, profoundly reshaped by artificial intelligence, the ongoing evolution of remote and hybrid models.
And those fundamental shifts we're seeing in what employees actually expect.
Exactly. We've pulled together a really compelling set of insights for you. Our sources, they cover quite a range.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, everything from in-depth reports on AI's impact, the latest remote work trends, to exploring roles like prompt engineers.
Oh, right, that whole thing.
Yeah, and critical discussions around skills development, how employers are responding, that ideal number of office days.
Still figuring that one out, aren't we?
Pretty much. And
Yeah.
then there's this concept of work intelligence, plus the real urgency around reskilling for AI.
Okay, so our goal here is pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Equip you, our expert career coaches, with the key knowledge, the talking points you need.
So you can effectively guide your clients through this, well, dynamic and sometimes kind of complex environment.
Right. Let's unpack this. Let's start with something pretty significant. This idea of AI becoming less of a tool and more like a colleague.
It sounds a bit sci-fi, but yeah. The latest Microsoft Work Trend Index really highlights this. They found, get this, 46% of employees now see AI as a thought partner.
46%.
Wow.
So not just for boring tasks.
No, not at all. It's about actual conversations. Challenging assumptions, brainstorming, sparking creativity.
So for you listening, this signals a huge shift. Your clients might be building relationships with AI.
It sounds strange, but yes, it means your coaching conversations might need to explore not just human collaboration, but like how to manage and leverage these AI partnerships effectively.
That's mind-blowing. Why, though? Why are people turning to AI like this, sometimes even over their human colleagues? The report must have reasons.
Oh, it does, and they're fascinating. Top of the list, 247 availability, 42% said that.
Okay, that makes sense. AI doesn't sleep.
Exactly. Then you've got the speed and quality of AI's output, 30%. The sort of endless ideas it can generate, 28%.
Limitless capacity, right? That was another one.
Yep, 23%. It really seems AI offers this consistently available resource that humans, with our own schedules and limits, just can't match.
But it feels like it's more than just the practical stuff, isn't it? Some reasons seemed more about dodging human interaction.
You hit it. The report did find some employees turn to AI to avoid feeling judged by people. That was 17%.
Right.
Or to avoid potential friction in teamwork, that's 16%. Even feeling like colleagues make too many demands, 15%.
And avoiding credit hogs, I saw that was 8%.
Yeah, so it paints AI as this potentially, less emotionally fraught, more available collaborator.
Which is interesting, but maybe raises questions too. Are there downsides coaches should explore with clients about relying on AI for that?
That's a great point for discussion. And Connor Grennan from NYU Stern summed it up nicely. He called it a mindset shift. We're starting to see AI as a new kind of team member.
Not just software. And that could change how companies are structured.
Absolutely. Kareem Lakhani at Harvard suggests this could even lead to new departments, maybe intelligence resources like HR or IT, but for managing human-AI interaction.
Wow. Okay, so distilling that down for us coaches, what's the absolute critical takeaway on this AI as teammate idea?
It's preparing your clients, helping them build skills to collaborate with AI, like prompting, effectively, with context and intent.
And critically evaluating what the AI spits out.
Yeah.
Knowing when to push back.
Exactly. It's a whole new dimension of teamwork we need to equip clients for.
Okay, so speaking of prompting, this leads perfectly into that interesting, maybe slightly ironic story of the prompt engineer.
Ah, yes. The hottest job of what, last year?
Pretty much. And now maybe?
Yeah.
Not so much. The landscape is shifting incredibly fast here.
It really is. The Wall Street Journal is already reporting that role is starting to look, well, obsolete.
Obsolete already. Why so fast?
It's mainly the large language models themselves, the AI engines behind this stuff. They're just getting so much better.
Right, they understand natural language more easily now.
Precisely. Jared Spataro at Microsoft mentioned they're more conversational, they have better context, they can even ask clarifying questions.
So you don't need someone to craft that absolutely perfect, fiddly prompt anymore.
Less and less so. The need for that super specialized skill is shrinking.
It's interesting, though. Indeed still has, 3,000 jobs listed with prompt engineer?
They do, but Hannah Calhoun from Indeed points out the growth has basically flatlined. It just shows the speed of change.
It really does.
Yeah.
And there's that irony, isn't there? AI potentially taking over jobs, including the ones created by AI, in a way.
Kind of poetic in a slightly worrying way.
So for coaches advising clients, especially in tech,
Hmm.
what's the message on prompt engineering?
I think the key message is about adaptable tech skills. That specific niche prompting expertise might be fading, but
But understanding how to interact effectively with AI systems generally is still crucial.
absolutely vital. Clients who maybe went all in on prompt engineering. It's a signal to broaden that skill set within the wider AI and tech field. Stay relevant.
Okay, let's tackle the big one, the elephant in the room. AI and job losses versus new opportunities. We've seen some scary numbers thrown around.
We certainly have. Goldman Sachs back in 2023 talking about maybe 300 million jobs automated globally.
And McKinsey projecting up to 375 million displaced by 2030. That understandably makes people anxious.
Hugely anxious. But, it's interesting. The experts actually working in AI often have a slightly different take.
Oh yeah, what are they saying?
Well, Pew Research found that generally AI experts don't predict mass job losses. They tend to see AI more as enhancing human productivity, augmenting us, not replacing us wholesale.
Okay, that's a bit more optimistic. And are we seeing any real-world data yet to back that up?
We're starting to. There was a recent study in Denmark looking at 2023, 2024. They looked at jobs thought to be vulnerable to AI chatbots. They found no significant wage or labor impact. Even though chatbot adoption was pretty quick, it didn't really move the needle on earnings or hours worked.
That's surprising given all the hype.
It is, and the study also found something else interesting. AI is actually creating new job tasks.
Like what?
About 8.4% of workers in their sample, even those not using AI directly, were doing new things because of AI, like reviewing AI output, validating it.
And writing prompts, back to our earlier point.
Exactly. So new responsibilities are emerging.
What about the time savings?
Yeah.
Everyone talks about AI freeing up our time. Did the study find that?
Less than you might expect, actually. The average time saved was only about 2.8% of work hours.
Huh. So efficiencies in specific tasks maybe, but
Yeah.
not huge overall time reductions yet?
At least not in this early data, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But let's look at the hiring manager's view. General Assembly's research adds another layer here.
Okay, what did they find?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. 54% of tech hiring managers do expect potential layoffs in the next year, partly due to AI.
Right, there's the fear factor again.
But an even bigger group, 69%, also believe AI is creating demand for completely new roles in their companies.
Ah, the opportunity side.
And crucially, 76% of those hiring leaders think the workers who might be displaced could actually be reskilled or upskilled for these new jobs.
Okay, so what are these new roles? What skills are suddenly in demand because of AI?
Well, predictably, roles in AI development itself, cybersecurity, data analysis, that makes sense.
Sure.
But also just proficiency with AI productivity tools. And then the soft skills, strategic thinking, problem solving, adaptability, those are becoming huge.
And adaptability is maybe one that's lacking sometimes.
That's what the research suggests. So for your clients worrying about AI, maybe the message is, yes, roles change, but your human skills, critical thinking, creativity, adaptability become even more valuable.
But are companies actually ready to do the reskilling? It sounds like they see the need, but is the action there?
That's where the gap seems to be. General Assembly found nearly a third of organizations haven't even formally assessed their AI readiness yet.
Really? 31%.
Yep. And while IT teams are often leading the AI rollout, 65% said IT is responsible. Those same IT teams are hiring more software engineers because of AI. So skills needs are definitely shifting, even within tech.
So for us as coaches, it's a balancing act, isn't it? Acknowledge the displacement fears, but highlight the new roles.
Exactly. Balance the narrative. The core message has to be about continuous learning, adapting skills, both the AI tech skills and those crucial enduring soft skills. That's key.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about the physical or not so physical workplace. Remote, hybrid, on-site. It still feels like we're figuring out the right mix.
We definitely are. Gensler's Global Workplace Survey for 2025, looking specifically at Australia, gives a good snapshot. They found 24% of workers there are still primarily working from home.
That's quite high, a quarter of the workforce. Puts Australia near the top globally for remote work.
It does, but the report also shows trends within that. Less time working alone, more time collaborating in person when people are together.
So a shift even within remote and hybrid models.
Seems so. In Australia, 55% are now mainly in offices, and 28% report regular in-person collaboration.
And That lines up with employers pushing for more office time, right? I saw the Robert Half report.
Yeah, 39% of employers have mandated office days already, and another 40% are planning to. The pushback to the office is definitely happening.
So people going back to the office more, are their expectations changing about what that office should be?
Oh, dramatically.
Hmm,
The Gensler report showed people want more than just desks. They use terms like nature retreat.
nice. Biophilic design.
Yeah, connection to outdoors. Also, creative lab for innovation, collaboration hub for teamwork.
Even boutique hotel. So comfort, amenities, a welcoming feel.
Exactly. It points to this desire for dynamic places that support well-being, comfort, and real collaboration, not just rows of desks.
And specific features are becoming must-haves, not just perks.
Totally. Beyond the workstation, people ranked things like cafes, food halls, cafesco working areas, lounges, even rest or nap spaces as most important.
Nap spaces. Okay, what else?
Quiet focus areas, outdoor workspaces, phone video rooms, libraries, fitness centers. Amenities aren't optional anymore, they're expected.
Right. So what's the magic number of office days then? Does research give us an optimal balance for engagement or productivity?
Well, a PwC study in the UK had some interesting findings. They suggested 3 days a week in the office seemed to be the sweet spot for engagement.
Only 3? What about 5 days?
Interestingly, 5 days actually led to less engagement, according to their study. But they did stress that office time is really critical for younger staff, like graduate trainees, for learning and networking.
Okay, 3 days for engagement. What about productivity? Any difference between remote and office?
A study in Nature looked at that. They found basically no significant difference in self-reported productivity between remote and full-time office workers.
No difference. Wow.
But the hybrid model did show benefits, better job satisfaction, and lower quit rates.
Especially for certain groups.
Yeah, particularly non-managers, women, and people with long commutes. Hybrids seem to work well for them.
Okay, so for coaches guiding clients on this, what's the advice?
It's helping clients understand employer expectations, which are clearly shifting towards more office time.
But also helping them figure out what they need, what kind of environment, what flexibility supports their well-being, and how they work best.
Exactly. And maybe even how to advocate for that, finding that balance between the company's needs and the individual's needs.
This connects nicely to another concept gaining steam. This shift from talent intelligence to work intelligence. What's the difference and why now?
It's a really important distinction. Traditional talent intelligence platforms, or TITs, mostly focused on tracking individual skills and qualifications.
Like what skills does Jane have?
Pretty much. But they tend to be reactive, looking at skills relevant maybe back in 2020. The problem is AI is changing work so fundamentally.
That just tracking old skills isn't enough.
Right. AI isn't just creating skills gaps, it's changing the tasks themselves. Projections say AI could transform maybe up to 70% of job tasks.
70%. Okay, so just cataloging skills misses the bigger picture.
Completely. So work intelligence takes a different approach. It's more strategic, more systems level.
How so?
It focuses on how work is actually done, how tasks are structured, how roles are changing because of tech, how processes flow across the organization. It looks at the building blocks of work itself.
Not just the skills people bring to the work.
Exactly. It's like understanding the blueprint of the work, not just listing the tools the workers have.
So what are the benefits for a company taking this work intelligence approach?
Several big ones. It can help spot redundant tasks, identify the best places for AI automation, optimize workflows.
Make things more efficient.
Yes, and plan talent development much more strategically,
Yeah.
aligning it with how work is actually evolving, not just based on past skill needs.
So it's moving from identifying existing skills to understanding how work itself is changing and then designing roles and developing people for that future.
That's the core idea. It's much more proactive.
What kind of questions should organizations be asking themselves then through this lens?
Critical questions like, which work is truly best for humans and which for AI? How do we need to reorganize roles and processes? What are the uniquely human capabilities we need to develop?
And how do we build systems that can keep evolving as tech changes?
Precisely. Continuous adaptation is key.
So for coaches, how does this work intelligence idea translate into advising clients?
It means encouraging clients to think beyond just their current list of skills, help them understand these fundamental shifts in how work is organized.
So they can anticipate how their roles might change or what new roles might pop up.
Exactly. Prepare them for roles evolving significantly and for entirely new kinds of work emerging as companies restructure around AI and tech.
Which leads us straight back to the vital need for reskilling and upskilling. It really feels non-negotiable now.
Absolutely imperative. Tech is moving faster than ever. AI is reshaping whole industries and the skills needed.
And we saw the General Assembly data, 54% of tech hiring managers expecting layoffs, partly due to AI.
Right. Jobs easily replaceable by AI or relying on outdated skills, those are clear risk factors.
But the hopeful part was that 76% of those leaders believed people could be reskilled.
Yes, which puts the pressure squarely on organizations to invest seriously in developing their existing teams. It's urgent to avoid a major skills
And
crisis.
General Assembly even created a framework for this, didn't they? Their AI Academy.
They did. It's tiered, recognizing different needs. There's AI enabled for foundational skills using productivity tools.
Okay, basic literacy.
Then AI augmented for more strategic application, thinking about ethics, and AI superpowered for innovation and deploying advanced systems.
So different levels for different roles. Makes sense.
Yeah, so for you advising clients, it's about hammering home that need for continuous learning. Point them towards opportunities to build AI literacy and those adaptable skills we keep mentioning.
Okay, now let's touch on something maybe less tech-focused, but still crucial. The disconnect sometimes seen between leaders and their desk-free workforce.
Ah, yes, the folks not tied to a traditional desk. This is vital. And a report from One Advance really shed light on some worrying gaps in perception.
Gaps between HR leaders and the workers themselves on things like pay and workload.
Exactly. For instance, 56% of desk-free workers said better pay would significantly boost retention.
Okay, makes sense.
Eight.
What did HR say?
Only 20% of HR directors and CHROs agreed with that. Big difference.
Wow. What about workload?
75% of desk-free workers felt overworked. Only 60% of HR leaders recognize that as a major issue.
And fair pay perception.
Again, a disconnect. 59% of desk-free workers felt paid fairly, but 80% of HR leaders and a whopping 92% of senior execs thought they were paid fairly.
Those are pretty stark differences. What's the risk for companies if they don't bridge that gap?
The report suggests they're missing a huge opportunity to retain experienced staff, which costs a lot to replace. Plus, upcoming laws around things like zero-hours contracts could make this worse if worker perspectives aren't heard.
And communication was another issue. Leaders think they're clear, but workers don't always agree.
Right. 90% of senior leaders felt performance expectations were clear. Only 67% of the desk-free workers agreed.
That leads to confusion, frustration.
Lower satisfaction, potentially lower performance. Anwen Robinson from One Advanced really stressed that leaders need to listen to the actual lived experience of these employees.
So HR strategy needs to be grounded in reality, focusing on better planning, clearer communication, fairer rewards.
That's the recommendation. For coaches working with clients in or managing these roles, it highlights the need to advocate for open communication, ensuring those voices are actually heard by leadership.
Okay, finally, let's talk about something seemingly small but often debated. After-hours communication. Those late-night emails and hybrid work.
Ah, yes, the email timestamp debate. It definitely sparks opinions. But Marina Stiahilo from Chartered FCIPD had a pragmatic take.
What was that?
Basically, that inflexible hybrid work, sending emails after hours, is becoming normal, sometimes necessary for different schedules or global teams. The rigid 9 to 5 is kind of fading.
So the issue isn't when it's sent, but the expectation of a response.
Exactly. The toxicity comes from the expectation of an immediate reply outside of hours. The focus needs to shift from hours logged to outcomes achieved.
Embracing asynchronous communication. Knowing the difference between convenience and urgency.
Precisely. And leaders need to model that so that not everything requires an instant response. For your clients, helping them set healthy boundaries around this is crucial in flexible setups.
So how do we define professionalism now regarding communication?
It's increasingly about respecting time and autonomy, clarity on expectations, and psychological safety. Can people communicate without fear?
And HR's role is enabling that. Training managers on async work, setting healthy norms, supporting boundaries.
Yes. Enabling agile, empathetic teams, supporting flexibility, challenging rigid mindsets.
The key questions for organizations are, do our communication norms match our values? Do people feel safe to work effectively? Is there trust?
Those are the core questions.
So for coaches, it's guiding clients on setting those boundaries in flexible environments, understanding reasonable norms, and navigating this sustainably.
And just to tie this all together, let's look quickly at how employers themselves are responding to all these big trends we've discussed.
Good idea. What's the view from the employer side?
Well, the Transamerica Institute report shows 72% of employers are already using or planning to use AI and robotics.
Okay, high adoption or planned adoption.
And 43% recognize their employees worry about skills becoming obsolete. So there's awareness there.
Do they see the implications for jobs?
Oh, yeah. 92% of those using or planning AI see impacts. Transforming jobs, 68%, creating new jobs, 53%, even eliminating jobs, 35%.
But is the action matching the awareness? You mentioned a gap earlier regarding upskilling.
That seems to hold here too. While 85% feel responsible for upskilling their workforce.
Only 44% actually prioritize talent development in their strategic plans.
Exactly. So there's a disconnect between recognizing the need and making it a core priority. For your clients, asking about an employer's real commitment to development is a key evaluation point.
The report also mentioned age friendliness, right, with aging populations.
Yes, super important. But again, a gap. Only 26% of employers give great deal of consideration to applicants over 50.
Despite potential labor shortages. Wow.
The report suggests best practices: lifelong learning, flexibility, caregiver support, better retirement transitions. For coaches with experienced clients, highlighting employers who actually do this is valuable.
And benefits packages remain crucial for attracting talent.
Absolutely. Health insurance, 401ks are still top. But there's room, especially with new regulations like the Secure 2.0 Act, for employers to enhance retirement benefits further.
So for coaches, encourage clients to address skills gaps proactively. Look for age-friendly employers and really scrutinize those benefits packages.
That sums it up well. And briefly, we touched on the government's role, like the skills development debate in Greater Manchester.
Right, the frustration over devolution of skills funding.
It just underscores that building these pathways is complex, involving local control, employer partnerships. It's a whole ecosystem.
Definitely not simple. It needs collaboration across the board.
Exactly. Local initiatives, strong employer links, they're vital for creating real career pathways.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up,
Yeah.
it's crystal clear the world of work is in massive flux. AI, work models, employee expectations, everything's shifting.
Absolutely. And your role as career coaches is, frankly, more crucial than ever in helping people navigate this.
The ability for clients to stay adaptable, embrace that continuous learning, especially around AI,
And really understand the shifting expectations of the workplace.
is just paramount now, isn't it?
Couldn't agree more. Hopefully, these insights give you a solid framework for your coaching, your conversations, helping you empower clients to thrive.
So on that note, here's a final thought for you to chew on this week. Given how fast AI and work structures are evolving, what's the single most important piece of advice you'll give your clients this week to help them navigate their careers effectively right now?
Keep exploring these topics, share your insights. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.